Today, we've got the host of our Spanish and German podcast back, and they've got lots of tips and strategies from themselves and their guests on a wide variety of topics such as Amazon image creation, KDP, Amazon Handmade, European marketplaces, and much more. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. Hey guys, heads up. Kevin King is the new host of the AM/PM podcast. So if you love Amazon strategy, make sure to subscribe to it. Whatever you're listening to this podcast on, take a listen to AM/PM podcast just by searching for it on that platform. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Serious Sellers Podcast by Helium 10. I am your host, Bradley Sutton, and this is the show that's a completely BS-free, unscripted, and unrehearsed, organic conversation about serious strategies for serious sellers of any level in the e-commerce world. And we've got a couple of our hosts from different parts of the world here today. We've got Adriana from Mexico and Marcus, who is in Europe right now. Welcome back to the show, guys.
Hi, Bradley. Thank you for having us.
Hey, Bradley.
It's really great to have you both here. This is now, we just celebrated 2 full years of Serious Sellers Podcast en Español, Serious Sellers Podcast auf Deutsch, and the numbers have been going up, record months this year. It's really great to see what you guys have created just from zero, like literally zero, and now you've got podcasts that are listened to by thousands of people out there. We have YouTube now, for the podcast. So guys, make sure if you speak German or Spanish, you need to be listening to Serious Sellers Podcast en Español or auf Deutsch. You can search for either of that on whatever you're listening to this on, even on YouTube. Now we're doing full video, so you can get kind of like a better vibe of it as well. So guys, this is really cool. And just one more thing that's new, we'll go ahead and promote it right now, is that you guys are now hosting in Spanish and German like monthly networking calls, Zoom calls, for Spanish and German speaking community. So Adriana, tell us about yours. Like when we just had the first one on December 6th, but is it always like on the 6th, or is it going to be like the second Tuesday of each month, or how is yours going to work, and how can people sign up for it?
Yes, of course. We're meeting the first Wednesday of every month. So I'm not sure what that is for January, but of course that's going to change for February as well. So basically the first Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. Mexico City time. And yeah, people can sign up. They just need to visit our link, h10.me/ and then Llamada con Adriana. And that's it. You can, and that way you will get the reminders and the link to join us in a live call, networking call every Wednesday.
All right, now Marcus, you two are just had your first ever German call in December, but starting in January, when is it going to be, and also what is the link for it?
Yeah, we want to keep it simple. It's the first Monday of the month, 12 o'clock, and the link is h10.me /elite-de. All
right, h10.me/elite-de for German speakers. And when you say 12 p.m., that's 12 p.m. Germany time?
12 p.m. German time, correct.
Speaking of Germany, guys, I'm going to be in Germany. I'm not sure if anybody out there is going to be in town, but I'm going to be out there on January 27th in Berlin. Going to be speaking at an event, and also I will be hosting an elite workshop. So if you guys are interested in going for the event I'm speaking at, h10.me/Germany. So h10.me/Germany. All right, enough of the kind of like logistics here. I think hopefully if you're a Spanish or German speaking person, you got enough information there to take advantage of these. Everything we just mentioned is free resources for the community. But, you guys, let's start off with what I like to do, is because I don't, I obviously can't speak German, so I can't listen to the episodes and understand what's going on. So I'm going to first start with you, Marcus. What are some notable guests you've had in the year that really had like some really cool strategies or a really cool story that you can relate to us?
Yeah, really some really awesome guests, and it's hard to make any kind of selection. But one recent one was from GS1, the company who is doing the UPC codes. And the employee, he told me that they are preparing a big change. They want to go in the couple of next years from barcodes to QR codes, and they call it as a 3D code. And that will be more than just a number to identify your product. That will have like an access for you to for marketing, for example. The customer, obviously the shop can scan the QR code, sees the price, and but the customer can scan it as well, and you can put your promotions in it, or for example, like giveaways, anything. And he says it will even support promotions day by day. You can have one promotion set on a Monday, something different on a weekend, or like if there's like a bad batch produced, you can add it into that QR code, and at the cashier will know, oh, I shouldn't sell that. So there will be a lot of functions and features coming, and I mean that will be a big task. They will have to change all systems in all shops worldwide. But yeah, that will be something very interesting for marketing.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, because, the traditional barcodes is kind of like what the world's been used to for so long, but the move to QR and having extra information there, that'll definitely be interesting. All right. Going to Adriana now, first kind of story that comes from your mind or strategy or something that one of your guests in the last year talked about.
Yeah, well, one of the highlights is that we had Amazon join us on a call or on an episode for the podcast, maybe a couple of weeks ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. And that was great because we had the opportunity to ask them stuff such as, what's up with seller support? How can we best go about getting an issue fixed? Let's say something happens to your listing is down, or an FBA shipment, or, these things we deal with as a sellers on a weekly basis, right? And so that was a big one. I was very excited to have them on a call because, it's our opportunity to get answers, right? Instead of, searching in forums or asking other people, it came directly from them. And they gave us really interesting tips for how to go about certain issues. And also they shared with us really interesting, insights, of course, but also resources on how we can learn more about the platform, etc. Right? And I think that this is very valuable because it comes directly from the how do you say, the horse's mouth, or I guess directly from Amazon. So that was a lot of fun. That was 2 weeks ago. And as I said, for me, the main takeaway that I got from them was basically how to work the seller support system to get them to answer and fix our issue, as opposed to getting, like the template response that we sometimes get when they don't understand what is it that we need help with.
I'm curious, how are your own Amazon businesses going? Like, do you think you're going to be up this year than before, or how have things been going for you?
So for me, 2023 has been a good year actually compared to 2022. 2022 was weird. I sell in the outdoor sports category. So 2020 was amazing because, of course, at least the second half of 2020, because of course everyone wanted to be out of the house and someplace, that was outdoors, not indoors at a restaurant or at a mall. So it was a great year sales wise. 2021 as well. 2022, it had, I experienced a dip, I would say, because everyone was, out and back in the clubs and the restaurants and the concerts and all of that. So people just forgot about outdoor sports. And then 2023 came back strong. Of course, I did focus a lot on my ranking and basically like optimizing my listing and all of that, my images especially. I was like, like if I up my conversion rate, then everything else will fall into place in a way, like my ads and all of that. I do my own PPC, but I'm like, as long as the conversion goes up, then I can send as much traffic as I want via ads and it should convert, right? Like it should turn into sales. So 2023 was great and I'm hoping for a good 2024. I want to expand my product line, and I also want to work on getting more traffic to my website and basically growing that channel too.
Now, going back to Marcus, what about for your Amazon businesses, your communities? what's some trends that you've seen this year, like especially since your community and you are mainly selling in Europe? Like, are things is there inflation in Europe? Is things getting harder? Is competition getting more? What's going on in the European Amazon market?
It's an interesting question because, like, over the years, I always got that kind of question: is it still worth it? Should you still start Amazon? But that dried out. Everybody knows that Amazon is big, and I mean, like the whole world is in a tough time, I guess, right now. But as I see, like Amazon sellers, they are doing good. They are doing well.
On the strategy side, like one of your specialties, and you have people in your community who are specialists about this, is like photography and things like that. What do you see as kind of like working now? What's some tips you can give the audience about like how they can really make sure their image deck and or videos are really better than the competition?
Yeah, actually, I have two photography related tips. And first one is from JP. He was a guest in the podcast. He's a quite young guy, but like living the dream, traveling through Bali, Thailand, and doing Amazon FBA. He's like selling a lot. And he also started a photography business. But he has a totally different approach. He doesn't need your product. You're providing photos from your smartphone. You get a tutorial. You have to send him 6 photos from every site. And he has a team who does a 3D rendering of that product. And that way, he's at a price point that's just a fraction that you expect for product photography. And his team will do a 3D model of your product that looks like totally photorealistic. And they will put it into lifestyle photos, put it into infographics, and send you the whole products, the product shots that you expect, but without touching your products. And I mean, one thing is it's interesting for people who just start out or sell products that have like $2,000, $5,000 of revenue, but also people who don't have time, because imagine your product is being produced in China right now, and you don't have a master sample right now. And as soon as the first product is finished in China, you can ask your manufacturer, do these photos for me with your smartphone, send it over. He does your product shots. And the moment your delivery arrives in your local warehouse, you already have your listing completed. By the way, that website is jpd-advertising.com. And yeah, that's what I thought.
I think I remember, I remember I don't speak German, but I remember that episode because I look at the videos just to like see how they look, and he looked like almost like a TikTok celebrity or something. Yeah. Like he had the crazy hair, right?
Yeah,
is that the guy who? Yeah. Okay, there we go. Cool. Yeah. So that's interesting because just recently Amazon announced that there's no longer going to be the 360-degree images that have been for a while. Like if you look at the Project X coffin shelf, it has it. Like we didn't put it there. Amazon just did it themselves. It's being replaced with a 3D image that I think you can still like turn around. And then they were saying that all they need, they're making some kind of app where you can actually take the images with your phone and then the Amazon app, I'm assuming, or something, and then submit it. So that's an interesting concept because like I'm still using like traditional photography studios, and that's logistically you have to send the product there, and then they have to shoot it. So have you seen images or have you seen listings that actually came from this model where they just take the pictures and they do it 3D and it looks realistic, or what's your experience with looking at that?
Yeah, I mean, I saw it on his listings. He sells 30,000 units a month, and he's just using his service, of course.
Wait, how many units?
30,000 a month. He's selling Europe, US, Japan.
Wow.
He's quite busy.
Cool. All right, so that's a good one. Let's go back to Adriana. Either another strategy or some kind of cool story from your experience?
Yes, going back to technology, per Marcus' comment, I feel like many sellers that want to be able to grow without having to invest all of their money into, launching a ton of SKUs or paying people to write blog posts for them or Kindle books for them, etc. I am seeing how many people that come on the podcast, they say how they work with either they do it themselves. Basically, they use ChatGPT to create content. They are using these tools such as Midjourney, etc., AI tools, basically, to help them create content, to help them generate user-generating content, etc., right? And so I chatted with Fer Caspin. She was episode 90, actually episode 100, a couple weeks ago, and she was telling me how first of all, the way she gets ideas on how to expand her product line, she goes to her competitors' stores and she's like, okay, let me see what else they're selling, right? And she sometimes finds ideas that way for complementary or supplementary products to grow her product line. And she says that it's actually very easy to launch these new SKUs because, of course, she already has the relationship with the manufacturer, and it's a matter of basically just sending other products that can be that can actually sell on their own or become kits, right? Or become a brand new SKU. And she was telling me how she even launches a Kindle book with every SKU or with every main product that she launches under her brand. And so, of course, she can do this very easily because she can either get a BA to write it for her, that content for the Kindle book, or she can do it via ChatGPT, which I think is like, this is something we couldn't do maybe a year ago, right? And that way, she adds a thank you card inside of her product, and then for them to get the free Kindle book, because I feel like people see a Kindle book like a more valuable, I would say, gift as opposed as like just like a regular PDF, and so. She tells them that she will give them the Kindle book, access to the Kindle book for free. And then she gets the email. And then, of course, through email marketing, basically, she sends a coupon for, 10% off, 20% off. So they shop the product via her Shopify page, basically, right? And that's how she starts creating her email list. And then, of course, she has, when people visit her site, her Shopify site, they see that she has 6 or 8 SKUs, right? And so I feel like 6 or 8 SKUs is a good enough quantity to, for people to see like, oh, this is a legit brand, right? Like this is not a brand that, only has one product and that's it. And she says that it's like a fairly easy, and it doesn't exhaust her resources to launch like a complete brand off of one product, really. She finds the main product and then she gets ideas on what else to add, what other SKUs to add, and of course grow her Shopify brand, get the images from either Midjourney or, get different variations of the content. ChatGPT for the text for the Kindle, or if you want to, you can create the first draft with ChatGPT and then have a VA basically do some editing on her part, and that's about it. And I was like, okay, that sounds like something we can all do. Even I feel like when I have a guest in the podcast, I try to find useful information for sellers that are starting out and that maybe they have a full-time job, right? And they don't have 8 or 10 hours a day to put into this business, and maybe they don't have a ton of money to put into the business. So finding ways to basically leverage technology and leverage, help from VAs, etc., to build a brand and have a brand in a matter of maybe 6 months.
Okay, is she doing this in English or Spanish?
English, in the U.S. market.
English. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Cool. Marcus, let me give you a couple scenarios here. Talking about Amazon Europe, under what scenario would you suggest somebody in or outside of Europe or would you suggest that they only launch in one marketplace to start? Like, hey, go ahead and start in UK or go ahead and start in Germany. Or would you always recommend, you should go ahead and take advantage of the Amazon Europe network and at least start in a few marketplaces? Is there a scenario where you would suggest one or the other, or it's all one or all the other?
I mean, like, it's up to you. If you're from the US, you could start in UK and you already can reuse your listing, your PPC campaigns, because it's the same language. Germany is the biggest market. That would be also a great test if your product works in Europe. And if it works in Germany, you could go to the smaller markets. I mean, France is still quite big, Italy and Spain as well. And then it gets a lot smaller. But yeah, that could be a good strategy to start in one of the bigger countries to test your product and then go to all Europe.
Okay. Now, as far as those smaller ones go, like, are there any that you think is going to one day become, better than the others? Because I think the core five is the UK, Germany, Italy, France, and Spain. Yes. And then, like, there's a big gap, between all of the new ones. Right. Like I forgot, like, Netherlands and Poland and a bunch of others. Like, are there any of those lower ones that you think are better than the other, or they're all kind of just like equally low?
Yeah, I mean, it's a question of the population, and I guess, like, the Scandinavian countries are also very interesting. But yeah, you already named the top countries for the moment.
Okay, so now I'm just curious about like VAT and things like that. So there's obviously not an Amazon in every country. So I'm assuming that, or you correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm living in Austria, am I ordering from Amazon Germany, or what website am I using if I'm just living in that country trying to buy something?
Yeah, actually, Austria shares the website with Germany. You order from the German website.
And then, so in that case, like, I know, like, for VAT, do I have to have VAT in every country I'm selling things in from day one, or it's only until I hit like a certain kind or amount of revenue in that country? Is it by country or is it by marketplace? And what I mean by that is, all right, well, there is no marketplace in Austria, so does that mean I never have to have a VAT for Austria, or how even does this work? Because I've never sold.
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's where it gets a bit complicated. So Austria shares the website with Germany, but there are warehouses in Austria, and as soon as you got your products in a warehouse in that country, then you have to register for a VAT number in every single country that you have your products in, and
regardless how much you sell.
Yes, and Amazon has a program for that, where they help you with that VAT declarations.
Back to Adriana, another story or strategy that you can share with us.
I interviewed Noemi from Spain. I know there's a big community in Spain that basically they do Amazon full time, and she was telling me how actually she works with another two partners. I had one of her partners here at the podcast too, and she was telling me how she is growing her Amazon business through Amazon Handmade, and I was like, oh, interesting, because I guess we focus on the regular Amazon program to launch products, and she was telling me how she works with people that artisans. That's the correct term, right? Artisans, is that a term in English? Yeah.
I mean, that's English, but it's too fancy for my language. But I know what that means. Yes. Go ahead.
She basically, so she likes doing handmade stuff for herself too, but she started basically connecting with artisans in Spain. Apparently, and I didn't know this. I mean, I've traveled to Spain for vacations, but I haven't, spent much time there. But she was telling me that there is a big network of artisans in Spain. And of course, as she was saying this, I was like, oh my God. I mean, I'm from Mexico. And of course, there are a ton of artisans here in Mexico, like a ton, especially cities such as of course, Mexico City, Guadalajara, etc. And she was telling me how she has scaled this, because I guess the first thing that comes to mind to us Amazon sellers were like, yeah, but how are we going to scale this business? And she's managing, she's she's managing to scale her business because she doesn't do or like work on this product herself, of course, right? Like she has a network of artisans. And I was thinking as she was telling this to me, I was like, yeah, that's true. I mean, I see when I travel to the US how much more expensive or like highly priced these products that we manufacture in Mexico are selling in the US, right? Only because they're like unique and they are just like more attractive than, you know, like the regular product. And I was like, oh, wow, this is interesting. Like, I guess I always knew that there was that option over there, but I just didn't see how we could scale that. But it makes sense. I mean, if you just work with artisans and you already know, you know, like you start, and of course, one artisan connects you with another artisan, and that's the way it goes. And she sells a lot of, you know, at the end of the day, a lot of units of different SKUs, and, you know, the price point, that's at least where my mind went, right? I was like, you have no competition really, because if it's something very unique, then of course you can play with your pricing strategies, but usually you won't be concerned with, you know, someone else, a competitor lowering their prices, or, you know, going 30% off, you know, of the sales price, etc. So I was like, that's interesting. I mean, even you don't have to be selling a ton of units a day to be making good money, because if you have 40% margins or 50% margins, or even more, because I've seen in the US at the retail shops how they sell Mexican or artisan, this type of products, and they sell, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, do people buy these products at this price? And I know how much they go for in Mexico. So I was like, oh, this is very interesting. And so I thought that was a very interesting, I think that was episode 98 with Noemi. She's based in Spain. And I mean, Spain has
Is she doing all of this in Spain, or she's doing this in Amazon USA?
No, Amazon. No, she's doing it in Spain, and I think she expanded already to Europe. Basically, you know how they have that.
I didn't even know there was Amazon handmade in Europe. In Spain and other. Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, I was like, oh, interesting. Because
definitely a way to make it. The key that you mentioned there is the no competition. You know, like this is a very unique product. It's not a cookie cutter. You know, by definition. So I like that. Back to Marcus. One last story or strategy from you.
Yeah, one last story. That's from Michael. He doesn't sell on Amazon. He runs an Amazon agency called Me to You, but he's like the Amazon detective. He's every day on the website looking, what is Amazon testing right now? What did they change right now? What do other sellers miss? And he's like, he comes with the craziest things. And one thing he told me, like, would you start to sell a drinking bottle on Amazon? I mean, that's like super competitive.
Me, probably not.
Yeah. And I mean, everything is the same. You just fill water in it and that's it. So it's difficult to stand out. And there's a company, they found a way to differentiate themselves. It's called AirUp. And they have a small cartridge on top. And you can get it in all kinds of flavor, like cherry, melon, whatever. And when you drink your water, you still drink 100% water, but you breathe the cherry flavor. What? So your mind is drinking like cherry juice, but you're still drinking 100% water. But the thing is, he pointed out that they just sell the bottle and the cartridges. But if you have like all your different flavors and you want to change them during the week, what do you do with your cartridges? So you need like an airtight sealed box for it. And people are searching for that. You can see it in Cerebro. But they don't sell it. They just concentrate on their bottle. So every Amazon seller should find imagine like Apple are selling just their iPhone, and you can sell chargers and cases. Like I bet there's like in every niche there's something like with a big innovation, and the company is just focusing on the product. So that was a really awesome takeaway to look for.
Yeah. Two things there. Number one is never think that a niche is 100% saturated, because there's always like a fresh idea you could bring. And then number two, you don't always have to be the one that has that idea. Let somebody else come up with the idea, but then how can you take advantage of that? Like, is there a unique storage or a unique accessory that's needed. I really
maybe even a coffin shelf
like
to store your cartridges.
There you go. Hey, for a coffin shelf to store your water bottle cartridges, I'll get on that.
Okay.
An episode. I'll give you guys, everybody here, a preview of a coming episode. I'm launching some new Project X products, and one of them is a bat-shaped bathroom mat or rug, and then potentially might make a coffin one as well. But the possibilities are endless, and that's one of the ways that you could also get into saturated niche is take a saturated niche like bath mats. Like they're going for like $10. Who knows how they're even making margin on it. But then, do you bring in a unique material, like make a bamboo one, or make a coffin shaped one, or a bat shaped one for like spooky? So you can almost take any niche on Amazon that's saturated and just come in with a unique idea or unique design or unique material. And now all of a sudden it's not saturated because you're the only one who has that. All right. So now before we ask for your final strategies, your 30-second or 60-second tips, how can they find you guys on the interwebs? They know how to find your Helium 10 podcast, but both of you have, audiences and communities out there. Marcus, how can they find your communities on the internet?
You can look on YouTube for Amazon FBA by Marcus, and everything else is linked inside the videos.
For me, my YouTube channel is Adriana Rangel Vende, just like that, Adriana Rangel Vende. And yeah, in there you can find everything else that I have going on. And I have a free 90-minute masterclass, I would call it, because I go from product research to like keyword research to what kind of keywords you need to put in your listing, etc. So yeah, I would for people that maybe need some free resources to kind of like figure out how this works, I would advise you check out that video. So Adriana Rangel Vende in YouTube.
All right, Adriana, do you have any last maybe 30-second tip or parting words of wisdom for the audience out there?
Yes, well, one topic that I've seen guests come with and share with us in the podcast has been basically focusing, when we start our business in Amazon, we usually focus on launching products, right? And launching new variations and doing your PPC and ranking and all of these activities that we have to, of course, take care of. But one topic that has been coming up very often in our episodes here at the podcast is that we, at some point, especially maybe like 2 years into the business, we need to focus on growing our team, right? Because if not, we'll get burnt out at some point, right? Like I know that happened to me, and now I'm working. I already have a BA, and of course I already have a designer that helps me, of course, with my my products, my listings, and also for the thumbnails for my YouTube channel. Like he helps me for a ton of things, and I feel like that is the way, that marks a big difference between someone that is making, of course, a few $1,000s a month in Amazon and, the seller that is doing several dozen $1,000s in Amazon a month, right? Because you cannot do it all by yourself. And also, so you keep your motivation, right? Because at some point, whatever it is that you are doing repeatedly and that you're doing for 10 hours a day or 12 hours a day, after 18 months or 24 months, you're burnt out. As much as you can love it, but still, your body gives out. So that is something that I would like people to start thinking about. Maybe this is your first year in Amazon, and that's fine, but maybe start listening to these episodes where people such as Rolando, and I know you had Rolando Rosas in the podcast because he speaks English too. Juan David as well talked about this. Rod as well talked about this, and I think it's just like very important to start planning this before we're like burnt out and it's too late, right? Mm-hmm. And that way we can scale faster and just like with less effort.
What's your, Adriana, what's your hobby or what you do to take your mind off of work? You take off your mind off your Amazon business to, relax. Like, what do you do for fun?
Yeah, well, before I got into this whole Amazon business world, I was in the art business. So I, of course, like to, visit museums and, if I can visit museums with friends and all that, the better, of course. But I try to even if it's like at nighttime, right? Like I try to consume content that it's not, or like even listen to podcasts that are not like business related. I basically try to put, if it's after 8 p.m., even if there's like this really good podcast episode, I'll watch it tomorrow at 6 p.m. or whatever when I take a break from work. But I try to put like hard limits because I just do it. I mean, I just do it for the business, right? Like I remember I saw this ad the other day that says something about your performance of tomorrow basically depends on your recovery tonight, right? It's something, something in that in that frame of words. And so I think it's just very important because we go on YouTube and we see everything about, you can scale to blah, 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 and you can be making all this money, but you have to be feeling okay, right? Your body has to be healthy and your mind has to be healthy as well. So that is something we cannot ignore that. Even if that doesn't sound like, like the sexy tip, I feel like that's as important or even more to grow a business, scale it to as big as you want, really.
Now, I like killing two birds with one stone. So my advice to you, if you wanted to do that, go to the museum while listening to the podcast in your headphones. And then now you can kill two birds with one stone. All right. So Marcus, what about you? One last 30 or 60 second strategy or tip for our audience?
Yeah, one tip I learned that will make a lot of changes. Amazon recently announced that they will look for title images that are not meeting the terms of service, and they will use AI to change that. They will download your image, remove everything that doesn't belong there in their opinion, and upload it again. And that is something you don't want. You don't want an AI to touch your title images.
Yeah.
And Michael from AMZ Boost, a product photographer, he told me just use your picture space number 9. Nobody looks there. Put a title image there that will meet the terms of service. And because what Amazon is doing first, they will scan your product photos and check if there is something that is compliant to the terms of service. And they will put it to spot number 1 as your title image. And if they don't find something, they will change it in their terms. So that's an awesome hack.
Wow, I never heard of that one. That's a really good one. All right, cool. And then same question to you also is, like me, that sometimes we can get, and Adriana, we can get burnt out, and if we put too much emphasis on work. So what are your hobbies? What are you doing to take yourself out of work when you need to relax? Yeah,
my hobbies are working out. I've got my home gym in the basement. And that's also a good place to listen something, or I go for a walk at the beach with my earpods in and listen to a podcast. That's where I get new content.
Awesome. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Wish you the most of success. You guys have had already a lot of great success. It's going to be really cool to see the next milestone for you guys. I would say is like hitting that 10,000 downloads per month. I never thought that would ever happen, but the numbers that you guys are doing are getting close to that. So it's probably within the realm of possibility. But I wish you the most of success with your podcasts, communities, and also your Amazon businesses. And we'll see you next year.